talking about. Question number 9, Scott Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Tourism and asks, what announcements has the government made about supporting tourism in regional New Zealand?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, actually, the people in the regions care, Mr Mark. On behalf of the Minister of Tourism, this week the government announced even more support for tourism growth and infrastructure in regional New Zealand. The Prime Minister announced this week that 2 new exciting regional projects which will attract more international visitors are receiving funding from the Tourism Growth Partnership. They are a new International Astronomy Centre in Lake Tekapo, which is a partnership with Tahu, and a suite of luxury glass cabins at remote locations throughout New Zealand. Since 2013, the TGP has awarded $21.2 million to 29 projects.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Scott Simpson.
To the Minister, what kind of infrastructure projects have received funding?
Speaker,
the Honourable Paula Bennett.
14 tourism infrastructure projects have also received funding in the first round of the new regional mid-sized facilities grant, which is designed to help smaller communities respond to increasing visitor numbers. A range of projects have been funded, including a lot of new toilet facilities, the House will be pleased to know. And the member who asked the question will be particularly interested in an innovative rubbish removal compactors that we are funding in the Coromandel. Many of the facilities will be up and running this summer, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, David Clendon.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, how many applications to the Regional Mid-Sized Facilities Fund did not receive any funding in this year's round?
Mr Speaker,
the Honourable Paula
of
Bennett.
those that were eligible, 11 did not.
Supplementary question, David Clendon.
What was the shortfall in this funding round between the total amount of financial assistance requested or asked for by regions and the amount of funding that the government distributed?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, I'm sorry I don't have that number exactly to hand, but if it helps the member, we are looking at doing a new round earlier next year and looking at whether or not we can bring funding forward or what we can do.
Supplementary question, Scott Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, how will this funding help the tourism sector grow in areas such as the beautiful Coromandel?
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, international tourists spent $14.5 billion in New Zealand in the last year, and the industry employs more than 188,000 people. But to maintain the growth, we need to ensure visitors have a high-quality experience and see as many regions of New Zealand, including the beautiful Coromandel, as possible. This government is committed to providing funding to ensure we continue to provide new and innovative things to attract new international visitors and ensure that their experience is of a high quality.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, David Clendon.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Given the $97 million shortfall between what the industry estimates is required for tourism infrastructure and the amount that this government appears willing to spend, will the Minister now adopt the Green Party's proposal for a border levy which would generate up to $20 million a year available for tourism infrastructure?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, I've made it clear that we are interested in looking at options, and certainly at the moment we are expecting the McKinsey report, I think before Christmas, where we've had businesses, including led by Chief Executive of Air New Zealand, Christopher Luxon, and what some of those options might be around levies and funding. I do think that the first round of this mid-sized facilities grant, I actually expected more applications and more spend, so I think that we do need to make sure that we're putting the infrastructure in to ensure those high-quality experiences, and there's a range of options on how we might fund that in the future.
Question number